As usual, I want to start with a question. Good one. Not a rhetorical one, a real one. All right, you ready? Put this in your head. How much money does your practice earn versus how much money does your practice keep? Now, most physicians I ask this question to cannot answer that question. That's a problem. They can tell me revenue. They can also tell me their last quarter's distributions. What they cannot tell me is what landed on the balance sheet. Because for most practices, the answer is nothing. Literally nothing. 20 years of work, millions of dollars in collections, a balance sheet that looks the same as it did in year 3. Now, that is the problem this series solves. Every dollar that flows through your practice is currently classified one of two ways: an expense or a distribution. And both leave. Neither stays, neither compounds. Neither builds anything that survives the day you stop working. Hospital systems figured this out 40 years ago, maybe a little longer. They take the same dollars and they classify them differently: assets, owned capital, retained surplus. The dollars stay. They compound. They build a balance sheet that grows independent of the actual operation. That is the only difference between a health system and an independent practice. Many of the same dollars, different classification. The CMS fee schedule sets the ceiling on your revenue, and that ceiling is falling, and it has been falling for a long, long time. And I'm certain it will continue to fall. You cannot work harder around that fact. Well, you could lobby, you could advocate, but you're not going to. You cannot bill more codes around those facts. The ceiling is the ceiling for you. The only remaining lever you have is what you do with the cash flow that you already generate. Every line on your P&L is a candidate for conversion. Insurance premiums, health benefits, vendor contracts, carrier relationships, all of it. Currently, they are classified as expenses. In fact, most of them are. But I'm going to tell you, most of them can be reclassified as an asset. And this reclassification is the series of the next 6, 7, 8, 10 videos I'm going to do. And I want to be direct about something. None of this is innovative. I'm known for being innovative, as you could tell. None of this is speculative. I'm a big speculator. There is nothing in this series I invented. That is also true. Every move I'm going to teach you has been used by smart people who build balance sheets, including me. Captive insurance has been built through this. Self-funded health plans have been through this. I'm going to talk to you about direct-to-employer contracting. I'm going to talk to you about how to build your own network. And I'm going to talk to you about forward pricing on the things that you do. Now, these are not new ideas, although I did build some of them. They're old ideas, and they were built for systems with thousands of employees. And they've never really been adapted to physician-owned practices. Hopefully, together, that's the gap I'm going to help you close. The work of this series is not innovation, but it is translation. Translating the last 27 years of all the work we've done into something that a physician group can actually own, run, and operate. Now, a word before we go further, I want to say something that will not land for everyone. If you have spent the last 10 years explaining why the system is rigged, why the carriers won, why CMS broke the practice, why the hospital next door took your referrals, I'm not going to argue with any of those things because they are mostly true. But this video is not for that conversation. This next series of videos is for the part of you that is tired of being right about the diagnoses and you're ready to do something with it. If you've been waiting for the right time to start. The right time to start was 20 years ago. But the second best time is the day you finish this series. That's my promise. All right, now let me give you 3 numbers to consider. Same playbook, 3 different scales. 25 doctors, a mid-sized surgical group, combined insurance, benefits, vendor spend, somewhere around, let's use 8 million. Run the conversion across that spend. Retain 30% into owned vehicles. Pound at 7%. Yeah, it's lower than the S&P 500, but higher than pension. Yeah, okay. All right, so 20 years in, the group is sitting on roughly $100 million of owned capital. It's not that hard. Same $8 million, different column. 150 doctors, a regional multi-specialty platform that's deploying co-opetition, combined spend somewhere around 80 million a year. Same conversion from expenses into assets, same 30%, same 7%, 20 years in. How about close to $1 billion of owned capital? Not through optimization, cutting more things, having a fancier SEO website, going to a class of some kind, listening to more consultants. Look, man, I'm telling you, these are the solutions. All right, now let's talk about a big national network, 25,000 doctors. Combined spend is somewhere in the billions, same conversion, same 7%. Jam it into your BA2 plus. Same compounding idea. 20 years in, the numbers stop being the numbers and start being institutions. A balance sheet at that scale is no longer an independent practice. It is a financial system owned by the physicians who generated the premium. Isn't that amazing? These are not projections in a marketing deck. We're not asking you for money. This is not an Airbnb scam. This is merely arithmetic. Same compound interest formula your high school teacher taught you, hopefully, applied to the dollars you're already spending. This entire video is about using money you've already spent to do it differently. That's it. So what do you get from this series of videos? When you finish listening to me, you will have the overview and the tools to compete with any health system in the country. Any. The CMS fee schedule will not stop being a fee schedule. The pro fee schedule sucks, and it will not stop. But it will stop being the ceiling. It becomes a line item, meaningful one, but not the one that decides whether your practice survives or thrives. That decision, whether your practice survives, are decisions about the column where the dollars land. What gets retained? What compounds? That is what we are going to walk through over the next series of videos. Apparently 6 or 7 more we haven't decided. But to start off with, we're going to do 3 on captive insurance architecture, health benefits, casualty, property. 3 on what becomes possible once the health benefits captive exists. It does already, I can assure you. Direct contracting with employers, we're going to show you how to make that actionable and actually do it. We're going to show you how to build an employer network. And I'm going to show you how to sell your treatments, procedures, everything else on a forward basis, 3 to 5 years out. Each video will stand on its own. Watch them in order if you want the full picture. Watch them out of order if a specific topic is more relevant to where you are. Just watch them in order. The math at the end of the video is the integrated balance sheet. All 7 items stacked. One balance sheet that saves and encourages participation in independent practice. Now, one last thing I should say. What you're about to see in the next 6 videos cannot be unseen. Once you have the wisdom, you can't relinquish it. Once you understand the column, you cannot look at your insurance bill the same way. Once you understand the float, you cannot look at your benefits spend the same way. Once you understand the carrier model, you cannot read a renewal letter again the same way. Some of you will watch the rest of this series and do absolutely nothing. That is fine. But the doing nothing will be different. It will be a choice that you've made with information you did not previously have. None of you watching this series of videos have heard this before. That is the only thing this series can guarantee. Not that you will act, just that you will know. There is an organization built specifically by doctors and operators to translate these moves for physician-owned hospitals, surgery centers, and independent practices. I know I started it. It's called MedMerge. We are an economic platform that gives small and medium practices the leverage and scale of a large health system so you don't have to sell. Everything in the next 6 videos describes the work we do. I will tell you when it matters. I will not pitch you in every video. But you should know who is talking and why I built what I built. The dollars will keep flowing through your practice next year and the year after. Nothing about the underlying math is changing. The only question is whose balance sheet they land on. All right, watch video number 2, Health Benefits Captive. The largest line. The one you already feel every January. The first move in the fortress. All right, let's do this together. Rojas out.